Good morning and welcome to our webinar. Thank you for joining us this morning. The purpose of our session today is to share with you what we at Catalyst have been doing to respond to COVID-19 with a particular focus on our customers. Our customers range from tenants, shared owners and leaseholders, but of course our majority of our customers are tenants in social and affordable housing. My name is Sarah Thomas and I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Catalyst, and I'm joined today by my colleagues Delphine Merlot, who is our Director of Customer Experience and Engagement, and Sahil Khan, who's our Director of Community Investment. You'll see that there's a facility to ask questions. Please do type your questions into that facility and post them during the event, and we'll pick them up at the end of the presentation during the questions session. The presentation is being recorded, so if you don't catch everything, no need to worry. We'll be sending out the recorded version so you can have a look at the bits that maybe you miss, or of course share it with colleagues. So moving on to the next slide, many of you will be familiar with Catalyst and what we do already. But just to recap, we're one of the leading housing associations in London and the South East with 32,000 homes, and we aim to deliver an additional 1,300 homes per year. Last year, before COVID-19 was with us, we worked with our customers and colleagues to really understand what our organisation was about, what we could do for our customers. And this created a new purpose for us, which is homes people love. It's quite an unusual purpose and it doesn't sound very corporate, but it felt that it represented what we're here for, what we want to give our customers, not just a home, not just a roof over their heads, but somewhere where they can where they can really feel safe and enjoy their lives and thrive. So our new vision was to earn and keep your trust, and this is about earning and keeping our customers' trust, whichever type of customer group they are, and that can mean different things depending on whether they're tenants or shared owners or leaseholders. It also means earning the trust of the communities that we work in and the many partners that we work with. And we recognise that we're not there yet, which is why we wanted to keep the word earn in, because trust can only be given. It's not something we can achieve on our own. I feel, along with my colleagues, that our new purpose and vision are more relevant than ever now we're in this strange new world. With all the uncertainty, perhaps we don't feel as safe as we used to. Having a home we can love and a landlord that can be trusted goes a long way to a sense of well-being, both physical and mental well-being. And it also can give confidence and security. And all these things are so important right now in this very uncertain times. We're in the process of dividing our footprint for both operations and developing new homes into two regions, which we've named quite simply Catalyst Counties and Catalyst London. The starting point for the design of our regional operating model was again with our customers and what they need from our services. Now, obviously, individual customer needs vary because we have such a diverse range of customers living in diverse locations. But many of the needs can be met by providing self-service online options so that customers can carry out transactional services easily themselves online on their terms when they want to. And alongside this, we feel it is really important to provide a human touch for more complex issues. Now, this was relevant and coming from our customer insight before COVID, but now more than ever, we've seen that COVID has exaggerated the need for human connection, and we recognise that our approach of providing both digital and a human touch is more relevant in these times. So our plan is to introduce digital services complemented by local mobile teams. So all our customers can have a dedicated Catalyst person, a go-to person for their needs. And as I said, we made these plans before COVID-19, but we have had during COVID-19 plenty of feedback to tell us that customers do wish to use technology, and they also want to see a Catalyst as a person, not an organisation. So the other thing about the technology, which I think is really interesting, is older customers are now using technology. So in order to keep in contact, say, with their families during COVID-19, they had to use Zoom as we are today. And now they're familiar with technology. They want to do some more stuff online. So the beauty of digital services is it gives customers choice and control, as well as making it easier for them to do business with us. And choice and control are, again, more important than ever because it helps, being in control helps during times of uncertainty. And talking about the human touch, we've decided our teams will be mobile, so they won't be office-based. Their day will be spent meeting customers. Initially, obviously, this will be more difficult, but the plan is to see customers face to face, albeit socially distanced initially. The principle really is Catalyst takes services to customers rather than making customers come to us. The mobile service, we were wondering how difficult it was going to be to transition from an office-based service to a mobile service. But because of COVID, our colleagues have had to learn to work remotely with the technology that we have. And therefore, we think logistically, that's going to be a much easier change than we thought it was going to be when we initially made these plans. What's really important about the local person or teams is that we're going to devolve decision making and problem solving to the colleagues closest to our customers. When we look at our customer complaints, often the complaints are because a customer has been passed from colleague to colleague and felt it quite difficult to get their problem resolved. So by devolving decision making and problem solving to the one contact the customer can go to, the go-to person, this will enable us to reduce the causes of many of our complaints. So we're going to be setting up in the autumn cross-functional teams, mobile cross-functional teams of all levels of our operations to get things done in the moment and directly there with the customer. And we've already appointed 2 managing directors for each region to lead this way of working. They are Anne-Marie Fenlon in London and Kirsty Pepper in Counties. There will be specialist support teams which will support both regions for issues such as antisocial behaviour, domestic abuse, safeguarding and income. So moving on to the next slide, I mentioned earlier what our purpose and our vision are, and I'd just like, before we move on, to cover our new values: deliver on promises, give respect, be accountable and show kindness. Across our organisation, we felt before COVID that showing kindness was really important to us as an organisation and for our customers. And now COVID has proven how important that value has been. And I've been really proud of how colleagues have really lived these values throughout the lockdown and recent weeks as restrictions have been lifted. And we've got many stories, if you're interested to share, of which we call #CatalystKind, which are just lovely. So moving on now to COVID-19, and we built our response around 3 main commitments. If we move there, they are. So to protect the health, well-being and financial security of our customers and our colleagues, to maintain essential customer services, and to play our part in alleviating an economic crisis. So moving to the first one, to protect the health and well-being and financial security of customers and colleagues. So the first thing we did was we repurposed many of our colleagues who could no longer do their day job, and we created a well-being team. and the wellbeing team made outbound calls to customers to make sure they were okay. The wellbeing team was able to offer or signpost support for bereavement, mental health, domestic abuse, and also help with changing income. As you can imagine, many of our customers have seen a decrease or have lost much of their income due to being made redundant. Sometimes the wellbeing team just had a chat because somebody was living on their own and they didn't really have anyone to talk to. One example, I think, of the success of the wellbeing team is we had one of our customers called our contact centre and said, my neighbour has had a wellbeing chat and I want one of those too. So we were able to provide that support, and we also had to provide some counselling support for our people in the wellbeing team, because some of the stories they were hearing and some of the life experiencings they were sharing with our customers were very upsetting, and they did such a good job at showing their resilience. For communication, we sent out, for the first time for Catalyst, we weren't brilliant at text and email. We were quite traditional before Covid-19, if I'm honest. And we used the opportunity to send out mass texts and emails with links to dedicated web pages. And these are topic led. And what we found out is if you send a text, then the link is successful if it goes to one page. So say the topic is financial well-being. If the link goes to one page, then we get good hit rates. If we want customers to browse through multiple pages, then the emails were more successful. So that was one of our learnings through our communication. We had to obviously adjust to new ways of working with our non-operational teams working from home. So we had to very quickly provide a lot of IT hardware, secure software, obviously so we wouldn't get hacked. Some of you may have heard about the awful incidents of the hacking of Garmin. So we're very secure, our systems. And we've given colleagues aids and adaptations so they can work healthily from home. But it's not just about the kit, is it? The human connection is really important for colleagues as well as customers. So we tried to do everything we normally did online as well. We had an all-staff online conference. We've had online yoga at lunchtimes, and we've had coffees and chats with the exec team and Q&As. And boy, have we as the exec team had some really tough questions as well, some really fun ones. For our operational teams working on site, we were very fortunate to have enough PPE. I know many areas struggled, and we've got social distancing in place to protect our colleagues as well as our customers across all our services. I think some of the one of the reasons we were able to get PPE is the person in charge of facilities is ex-army and just amazing at logistics and procurement. We maintained essential customer services throughout lockdown, emergency repairs, gas servicing. We enhanced our cleaning, so that means that, and we're still doing that, and that means we give extra attention to things like handles, buttons on lifts, things that people might touch regularly. We actually were only going to provide essential grounds maintenance, but we provided most of our gardening in the end because our colleagues wanted to. They said if our customers are living living and working in their homes, they're going to want a nice garden. They don't want an overgrown garden to enjoy the times when they can go outside. So led by our colleagues and our gardeners, we carried out most of our gardening. Of course, we had supported housing and we did our compliance checks. As you may know, we had some ACM cladding. That's the same cladding that was on Grenfell. We had a 2-week pause and then we remobilised the removal of that cladding. And I'm delighted to say that all our ACM cladding has now been removed from all of our buildings over 18 metres. And we had to change the way we worked when we came back into when we remobilised as well, because obviously COVID is still around. And I think we'll keep some of those changes. So for example, our virtual viewings for both properties we're letting and selling have been very popular. And it's a good way to do a first viewing. So the customer only has to visit the home at minimal times. We've got more flexible remote contact centre working, and we've moved to telephone first complaint resolution. Again, another critique of customers was that the complaints process was a bit long-winded and a bit impersonal because it was all done by writing and emails. So now telephone complaint resolution has hopefully brought quicker resolution and some warmth and a human touch to our complaints handling. Now, moving on to how we've played our part in alleviating the economic crisis. So we're going to pay back the money we've already received for furloughed employees, and that's 280,000. And we're not going to claim any more, which totals £550,000 or £500,000. We didn't give our staff a pay rise this year. And what we've done instead is we've used the money allocated for a pay rise to benchmark all of our roles and make sure everyone has a current market rate salary for their role. This has offered additional financial security to some of our lower paid members of staff. And it has meant that many staff haven't received a pay rise at all. But it has benefited a lot of our lower paid members of staff. And with partners losing jobs, this is really important right now because some of our colleagues are becoming the only wage earner at the moment. So we felt that was the right thing to do. And our colleagues were very responded well to that decision. We're working with the GLA and Homes England currently to see how we can get the economy going through house building. And as I said, our aim is to build 1,300 new homes a year. And we've kept all our original corporate aims in spite of COVID. So I'm going to hand over to my colleague Delphine Merlot now, who's going to delve in to the customer experience.
Hello, everyone. I have joined Catalyst in January this year. What a year to join a new organization. I'm accountable for the end-to-end customer experience, and I'm actually a great believer that to create a best experience, we need to listen to our customer. Therefore, within my team, we're looking after all the complaints. We also do the satisfaction surveys and all the activity linked with the customer engagement. We are the voice, in one word, we are the voice of the customer for Catalyst. We also listen to our teams who hear from our customer every day on the phone, in our customer home or in the garden. And this insight is very invaluable as it is the most timely that we have to be connected with what's going on in our customer life. Creating the best experience is also being curious about what's going on more broadly in our sector, but mostly outside of our sector. And why do I say mostly? Is because our customers shop online, our customers use Uber to travel and experience innovation and convenience every day from their favorite brand. And we know at Catalyst that they don't expect less from us as the landlord. So if we can move on to Eugene on our next slide. So Eugene is one of our team leader. And to earn and keep the trust of our customer, consistency is paramount, and not only in the service that we provide, but also in the behavior. So the what is as important as the how we deliver it. And to deliver this consistency, we have an inspiring and engaging customer experience strategy, and most importantly, a delivery plan, a very robust, which is framed with program management expertise and some governance as well. The pandemic hasn't slowed down actually our progress within our strategy, but has positively, let's say, disrupted some of our priority. Sarah touched on the importance of digital and the opportunity we saw there. Some digital deliverables have been catapulted in pole position during a lockdown. And the reason for that is we were at risk of losing connection with our customer, as our team were not able to meet with our customer as often as they did before. So not moving fast on mass communication that Sarah touched on as well, such as email, text, or digitalize our engagement model will have really stopped the connection that we had with our customer. Having strong value guided us in our decision, our priority, and the communication that we had with our customer during the pandemic. And I just wanted to go down a little bit deeper into our value. So if we could have the next slide, that'd be great. So let's take a closer look. Deliver on promises. What do we mean by that? Well, we mean we do what we are going to do, and sorry, I'm going to rephrase that. We do what we say we're going to do, and we say when we are going to do it. Be accountable. We do not hide from our responsibilities. We acknowledge our mistake and we fix them. Give respect. We treat everyone as they want to be treated. And show kindness. We share in people's happiness and sadness. And again, to re-emphasize what Sarah touched on, show kindness was without a doubt and still is a guiding star during the pandemic, but within this new world as well. Empathy and that sense that we are all in this together was very important for our customer, and they told us that. Moving on to the next slide and talking about our service and the service that we deliver. We kept delivering our services during COVID. We decided though to pause our traditional customer satisfaction survey in April, May and June. July results are overwhelming and a fantastic reward actually for our teams who kept answering calls, at times more distressing than usual, deals with ASB cases, often due to noise nuisance as people spend more and more time at home. Domestic abuse was on the rise as well during the lockdown, and also neighbor disagreement that sometimes they managed to deal with, otherwise we had to support them with that. The deep cleaning, Sarah touched on that, very important for our customer, that sense that people are safe in their environment. Lots of requests around what are we doing, how different is what we do now compared to what we were doing before. And of course, the conduction of all our fire safety inspection. The only thing that we had to stop really was the emergency repair, but we've started again on the 1st of July. Not emergency, the non-emergency repair. If we can move on to the next slide. So we want to go further than deliver just services to our customer. We want to deliver them in a catalyst way. A way that enable our customer to feel and experience our values. The same way that we actually experience them internally as a colleague, as an employee at Catalyst. So we are developing with our customer a set of promises, and these promises will sit underneath each of our value and will be first be deployed to our teams who are in direct contact with our customer. The service we deliver is what our customer expect from us. In a way, it's the contract with us and the contract that we have with them. So delivering the service consistently enable us to maintain our satisfaction, our customer satisfaction, and help us as well manage the number of complaints. Engaging emotionally though, through promises and through behavior is what will create a deeper connection and the trust with our customer. This approach is also aiming at differentiating ourselves and to attract new customer, build on our reputation, and for me, very selfishly, increase our satisfaction. even if some customer might not feel they have the choice to be with Catalyst, to innovate, we need to be thinking this way. We need to be thinking that customer might have a choice, and actually the pandemic might bring forward some disruptor in our sector. So we mustn't be complacent. That was a mistake of mine, but complacent about the retention of our customer base. And that brings me really to my next slide, which will be the last one before I hand over to Sahil. Communication. The communication that we've started, mass communication through emails and text, were triggered actually after a few of us within the team receive an email, a very emotional email actually, from John Lewis and Waitrose. The same John Lewis actually, who is now thinking of converting some of his retail shop to housing. And as Sarah mentioned, we never mass text before, and we never texted before. It's throughout the pandemic and beyond, we know now that communication is now expected. So we've created a new need for our customer. And the theme of each communication were tailored with the insight that we receive from different channels. And you will be obviously familiar with those during, especially during the announcement of the lockdown. Income support, ASB cases, social distancing was very strong as well, and repairs were the main theme that we had through our communication. But the golden thread was well-being. And as we remobilize and acknowledge that customer might not feel as comfortable as before about letting us in their home. So therefore we've developed a very simple and very reassuring communication. You've got an example here on the slide that has been created to make sure that not only the customer were informed about all the measures that we were taking, but that the communication were also more accessible to everyone. So from our inside, we know that customers who were surveyed in July and had an interaction with us in the last 6 months have scored us much higher than customers who didn't have an interaction within the last 6 months. And that difference is close to 8%. So this is a very important differences between obviously those two scores. And that has really proven that our plan has worked, but it has also obviously proven that we need to capitalize on what we've learned during this pandemic. So I'm going to hand it to Sahil now. Over to you, Sahil.
Thank you, Delphine. My name's Sahil. I'm Director of Community Investment at Catalyst. I'll be speaking to you about our community investment work, as well as how we've been supporting our customers and communities during COVID-19. So if we can move to the next slide. So our community investment work's really important to us at Catalyst. We build more than homes, we build communities. So annually, we invest over £3 million in community investment, and we have a community investment team made up of over 50 colleagues across Catalyst. Last year, we launched a new community investment strategy that we developed in partnership with Catalyst customers and Catalyst colleagues, and we have 3 main priorities that have been identified. Our first priority is excellent advice and support services. So we offer a vast range of advice and support services already. Everything from helping our customers with financial and digital inclusion, helping to get online, providing really good employment and skills support services, helping customers secure apprenticeships, welfare money benefits advice, mental health and physical health support. So we have a vast advice offer already. Our second priority is around community projects that address local community needs. So we work with our customers and with our communities to develop local projects that meet local needs. So if there's a community where social isolation or loneliness is an issue, or a lack of youth provision, or customers want to, or communities want to take a space that isn't being used into community ownership, we work alongside customers and communities to make those projects happen. And our third priority in our strategy is around making the best use of our resources. We work closely with our local authority partners, with partners in the voluntary sector, as well as partners in the private sector as well, to pool resources to have the biggest effect on local priorities. So there are three main priorities, and that basically throughout COVID-19, we've delivered our services around these priorities. If we move to the next slide, one of the things that we had to do very early on before the lockdown, which was our community investment team deliver over 100 community projects and services on a daily and weekly basis. And we had to pause many of those because it was no longer safe to deliver those. We weren't able to deliver any of our face-to-face services, so we had to temporarily pause a lot of those projects and services that are much needed and would be even more needed during this time. But due to the safety concerns, we had to pause them, and we had to close our community centres and our local hubs. And this was really difficult for our customers, and it was really difficult for our colleagues as well, because these were exactly the types of services that would be able to help in these times. So what we did, like Sarah and Delphine have already mentioned, we quite quickly launched our wellbeing team, drawing on the expertise of our advice colleagues already, but enabling colleagues who weren't able to go and do their usual community work in our neighbourhoods to get on the phones and make welfare calls to our customers. And we also had support from colleagues across Catalyst who were working remotely, were able to get on the phones, and we gave everyone some training and some support. And the main thing was around showing, living our value around kindness, and our people were empowered to do the right thing for our customers. So far we've made 6,000 calls to our customers, and we've been able to provide a range of practical and emotional support. The emotional support was anything from if someone was living by themselves, if they were feeling isolated or lonely, keeping in touch with them. We've got some lovely examples under our Catalyst Kind hashtag, where we had one customer who was feeling very lonely, and our colleague found out that they had a mutual interest in Downton Abbey, and there was a weekly call during lockdown just to have a chat about Downton Abbey. So there was those really, really nice examples of people staying in touch, but also in terms of practical support, we were able to send people vouchers if they were struggling with food or utilities. If someone had more specialist needs around mental health, we were able to refer them to the right agencies. And those customers that were struggling with furlough or redundancy, our employment and skills team were able to offer them hands-on support with welfare benefits, with looking for new jobs, with renewing CVs, with undertaking training to make the best use of their time. If we move on to the next slide, although we had to pause a lot of our face-to-face projects, and although a lot of our team were making wellbeing calls and supporting our customers remotely, we were able to also shift some of our services online. So where communities and customers were willing, and where we were able to change some of our community projects and put them online. And very early on, we were able to start offering online youth clubs, where young people that were affected by the pandemic, they were able to participate in positive activities, but there was also forums for them to be able to offer peer support, moderated forums where they were able to give peer support to one another. We were able to offer a whole range of workshops, everything from healthy eating to an online choir, that proved really useful, and it was something for people to do during the pandemic. And where people didn't have the ability to get online, either due to connectivity or equipment, our digital skills, our digital inclusion champion, and with the help of our IT team, we were able to send customers tablets and laptops in the post, fully loaded with data. So all they would have to do is open the box, and they would be able to stay in touch with family, or they were able to participate in the activities that we were providing. And one of the really exciting things that's happened over the past few weeks, as the lockdown has been easing, is that we've been able to get back to delivering some community projects in our neighbourhoods. The picture here is of a socially distanced bike maintenance workshop. So one of the things is that, you know, there's concerns over the use of public transport. Not everyone has their own vehicle, and using bikes and other modes of transport is a really good way of not only young people, but everyone getting around. So one of the things that we've been able to do is across Catalyst communities, we've offered doctor bike sessions. So that's a picture of a bike mechanic who is in one of our neighbourhoods, and anyone can come along with their bikes. And if they haven't used them for a while, they can have a bike MOT. They can learn some basic bike maintenance. We also have bikes, recycled bikes and helmets that we can give to people. And we've also taught children who weren't able to ride bikes to teach them how to ride bikes, as well as help them with bike safety issues as well. So that's one of the exciting things, that we're able to now deliver some socially distanced community projects within our neighbourhoods. One of the other things that we're doing a little bit differently to other housing associations or other organisations is that where other organisations have now, due to the easing of lockdown, limited some of their welfare checks and welfare calls, we're continuing. So at the beginning of COVID-19 and the lockdown, our focus was on calling customers that were either shielding or were older. And now what we're doing with the easing of lockdown, we're really calling customers to do welfare checks on working age households that are affected by furlough, are particularly likely to be affected by the end of the furlough scheme. And we're able to link them into our employment and skills offer to really help with employment and new career prospects. If we can move on to the next slide. One of the things that we did very early just before the lockdown was launch our voluntary sector support fund. So we already have over £100,000 of grants annually that we provide our customers who are facing hardship, as well as for community organisations and voluntary organisations that are working on our neighbourhoods. But to help voluntary sector organisations that were organising brilliant volunteer initiatives and organising much needed services within our neighbourhoods, we set up a voluntary sector support fund that was able to get small bits of funding that were much needed to those organisations that were supporting customers. So far we've awarded 29 grants of between £400 and £2,000 to a diverse range of organisations, everything from food banks to volunteer centres to youth organisations. And the money's been used for some really, really practical things. One of the projects mentioned in the top right here is the Felix project, which takes surplus food from supermarkets and suppliers and supplies it to community projects and people that need it. And our grant of £2,000 helped them buy 500 extra crates just to meet the extra demand of collecting food and being able to distribute that. So that's some really practical support that we've been able to provide to the voluntary sector. My next slide just gives a flavour of some of the feedback from various organisations, and some of the things that really touched me personally were small voluntary organisations that just really appreciated the help because it enabled them to get IT equipment and mobile phones to enable their colleagues to work from home and to carry on their vital services. So although the pandemic over the past few months has had its challenges, there's been a great effort from volunteers and our colleagues to really support our communities, and it's been great to work with local authorities as well as the voluntary sector on some key priorities. I'm going to hand over to Sarah now.
Thank you, Sahil. Well, COVID-19 has certainly changed our world in so many ways, and we're still learning to adapt to this strange new world at Catalyst. And obviously, there could be the prospect of sudden changes just around the corner. However, that said, I think we are getting used to operating in this more uncertain, unplanned way, and being much more effective at both our planning and our reacting and our execution. And that means that now we have adapted to this new way of working. We're at a point in time now where we're starting to refocus on other things which are important to us. If I could have the next slide, great, thanks. So building safety is a significant area of expenditure and resource, and is obviously significantly important, particularly in London, as we make our buildings safe. And as I've said, we've removed all the ACM cladding from our buildings over 18 metres in London, all our buildings actually, during lockdown. So that's great, because that keeps those buildings safe for our customers. The Black Lives Matter movement has made us look really hard at ourselves and challenge our approach to equality and diversity. We've started in our organisation to have really honest and challenging conversations with our board, with our colleagues, and also with our customers. We can and must make a difference this time and make sure that change really does happen. So no doubt COVID-19 has changed our world, but it has accelerated some changes too, particularly around customer needs and colleague needs. And in others, it has generated new needs, and we have a window of opportunity right now to fully understand these changes and evolve to meet them. Thank you for spending time listening to us this morning. We are now going to move on to your questions that you've been typing in. Please keep typing them in. So one for Sahil, I'm going to start with Sahil. Are there any barriers that are proving difficult to overcome when it comes to supporting vulnerable people?
Thank you, Sarah. It has been really tough for customers and communities, and a lot of people have struggled with shielding and with anxiety and just all sorts of things that have come out of the lockdown. But one of the things that's been great is that, you know, our wellbeing team and our teams generally are well resourced to be able to support people. So the team's been empowered to be able to use our resources to help customers in any way that they need. So if anyone's needed any practical support with anything from food to utilities with prescriptions, we've been able to do that. And then we've got partnership arrangements with specialist organisations, everything from organisations that provide mental health support to counselling to support around domestic violence, that we've been able to tap into and get our customers the right support. And then the partnership working that we've seen with local authorities, the great support initiatives that have been led by local authorities in partnership with charities in the voluntary sector has been excellent. So I can honestly say there's nothing that we've come across, although we've come across a lot of tough situations, there isn't anything that we've come across where we haven't been able to support our customers or help them overcome any barriers that they've been facing.
Thank you. And Delphine, have you returned to non-emergency repairs?
Yes, we have since the 1st of July, and we've communicated obviously with all our customers about that great news. I just wanted to share actually that again, some of our customers are now much more cautious of letting us in their home. So that's something that, you know, we're working on with our customer and with our team to make sure that everyone feels safe when we need to enter customer homes.
Thank you. We have another one. Sahil, is there anything we can do to help councils support residents?
Yeah, so We've regularly been keeping in touch with councils and local authorities. We've had a number of local authorities that have asked us to basically outline what our support offer to customers is. So my contact details are on the next slide, and we can outline a support offer, and anyone who's a Catalyst resident, all of our services are open to them. And one of the things that we've been doing is when local customers have needed support, we've been able to lead in our neighbourhoods, so councils can focus on other neighbourhoods. So any Catalyst customers, we've been able to work with councils and say, you know, we can make the wellbeing calls, we can do the welfare checks, we can facilitate befriending and sort of offers of support around social isolation and loneliness. So yes, there's a huge willingness from us to collaborate and work in partnership, but we can offer a lot of practical support to Catalyst customers and Catalyst communities, which will hopefully take some of the pressure off councils to be able to focus on other neighbourhoods.
And Delphine, moving on to communication, how important has communicating with customers been during the pandemic, and what has worked well?
So again, the communication was absolutely paramount because it was, in a way, you know, the best way to not only push some information to our customer about our plan, about what we can and cannot deliver during the lockdown, but we gave obviously the opportunity of a customer to send us, you know, their questions. So we've created a new email address where only one person were gathering the email from customer, and this tributed to the right team to guarantee speed in responses. And what has worked really is to make sure that we were regularly in contact with the customer, but also tailor the communication. So again, what we've done is we've used insight to tailor the next communication. So when we saw, for example, in May, with the hot weather, that we had more and more concern around some people doing barbecues, some people having maybe parties in their family parties within the garden, we had to tailor a communication around that, and customer could see that the feedback they were giving us were actually obviously taking into consideration to draft the next communication. So a real partnership, let's say, in what we were communicating.
Thank you, Delphine. We've got a question about how can I see the thread on #CatalystKind. Actually, CatalystKind is an internal thread on our internal intranet, which we were using to really raise morale and the sense of collaboration internally. So it's a sort of to help people to recognise our colleagues and what they were doing for customers. But what we will do is we'll send some examples with the recording of the presentation, and we're always happy to share, but we didn't put it externally because we don't want to be seen to be sort of singing our own praises, as it were. It was really for internal use, but happy to share. Has this impacted Catalyst's finances? So our rental income is down 1% on what we would expect to get in, so 1% additional arrears, which I think is a lot better than we thought. We do have on our radar the risk of what happens when furlough ends. Every day we're hearing announcements about people losing jobs. I think British Airways is being announced today, for example, the people there, and it's in the numbers are in their thousands. And many of our customers do work in hospitality, and obviously up due to our locations in Heathrow and Luton airports. So there is a risk that we'll see our income decrease again when furlough ends. So that's on our radar. Obviously, giving £500,000 back means that we've got to find the furlough money. Having paid our staff and not had throughout that time means we do need to find the money internally, which we will be doing which we'll be doing by making savings and being efficient. But we did feel that was really important to pay that back because we can. Sahil, is there anything Catalyst can do to support local authorities with a potential rise in homelessness caused by COVID-19?
Yeah, so we're working closely with local authorities on a number of initiatives. One of them is around homelessness, and yeah, there's this drive, like, you know, as we've got people into accommodation, to keep people in accommodation. So we're working on that, as well as preventing any further instances of homelessness. So we're working really closely with allocations team. Our allocations teams are working really closely with local authority allocations teams. And if there's any properties we can bring forward, or if there's anything that we can do in terms of allocations policies, etc., we're really flexible and wanting to work with local authorities to basically prioritize those households that need it most. So I've been having some conversations during the pandemic with local authorities around those families that were in temporary accommodation and at most risk because they had shared kitchens and bathrooms with other families, of how we could prioritize those and get them into our properties. So we're really open to those conversations, and a lot of these things, it's you know, we can only do it in partnership with a local authority, because of all of our nominations going to local authorities. So we're willing to work flexibly and really prioritise those people that are at most risk of homelessness.
Thanks, Sahil. Do you still have plans to build more homes? The answer is yes, definitely. We see this as part of the economic, doing our part to help the economy. The biggest impact on our ability and our capacity to build homes is actually not likely to be COVID-19, depending on what happens at the end of furlough. It's more likely to be the costs of building safety, which are significant and run into millions of pounds. So that we have to obviously prioritise building safety. So that has a bigger impact on our capacity. And we're working with the G15, which is the largest London housing associations, to really work with the government to make sure we can do both, build homes and fulfil our building safety commitments. And those conversations are going really well at the moment. Delphine, what do you think has been the biggest impact of COVID on Catalyst?
I would say the need, even if we had it in a plan, but the need to deliver at pace digital channel for our customer. So digital channel to communicate, we've touched on that, to engage. So the change, even if it was in our plan, the change of, you know, workshop within our community center, move on to Zoom, for example. That sense that internally we could and we had to at times take a bit more risk of making a mistake, let's say, to make sure that we were trying new things. So I would say that most of the impact for me in terms of the experience of customer and the plan that we had has been positive, in a sense that we had to move much quicker into the plan. Something that I haven't mentioned earlier on around the communication and what has worked. Outbound calls. I know we've mentioned that, but outbound call has been a real help for us, and it's like phoning people is back in fashion rather than email or texting. That human interaction during a call helped us, for example, you know, to make sure people did not misinterpreted some of the communication we had, for example, within complaints. So outbound call and that proactive calling to customer has been a great learning, and something that we definitely want to keep moving forward.
Thank you very much. So Eddie Kelly, who's our Director of Communications, has also shared in the questions that we have an external version of our #CatalystClimb video. So we will also make that available
Brilliant.
to you as well. And I think that's all our questions answered. Hopefully that's been useful to people, and obviously do feel free, if on reflection you have another question, please feel free to contact us. We're more than happy to share our experiences. Thank you very much for listening to us today, and have a lovely rest of Friday and weekend. Bye bye now.
Thank you.